So let's do this.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back
What's up?
for another episode of the Crane Kick Selects podcast. Did that throw you guys off? I love that. I love when I just do stupid stuff and then everybody's like, what's happening right now? Anybody watching will think the same. Listeners will be like, I have no clue. He says dumb things anyway. We're back though. We are back. Man, close to the break for the women's season. It's kind of weird. We're gonna have to go without some soccer for too long.
I
Too
don't
long.
like
I mean,
it.
we're already done with the home games. Bleh. I
How
know,
are we this
thanks.
far into the season already?
I have no clue.
Flying
Crazy.
by.
Yeah, it's like we were in like a time warp or something. I don't get what happened and how we got here. But only one more game. It's an away game coming up. So then we have to just kind of twiddle our thumbs. Of course, we'll have like announcements, I'm sure, to keep us busy because, you know, you're going to have whatever weird stuff happens in the off season. Then you're going to have like men's team announcements probably still flowing here and there as those all get situated. But we'll see. Who knows? But everybody doing good?
Yeah.
Yeah, feeling good.
Yep.
Everybody thawed out from the game.
Yeah.
It took a
No.
while, honestly.
That was a chilly day.
It was cold.
Been even
was very
colder
happy. I
too.
remember my gloves. Yeah, I was happy I had my gloves for that one. The
Yes.
one prior, like I couldn't feel my hands by the end of the match, and I was trying to like work my phone to record the interviews, and like it wouldn't work because I think that my phone thought I was like, I don't know, some weird frost creature or robot or whatever. It's like you don't have warmth in your body. I'm not gonna do what you're wanting me to do because this is suspect, buddy. But the gloves came in clutch this time, so that was a save. That was a win. Speaking
I'm
of
glad.
though,
I was gonna say
we didn't win. We did. I thought we'd win.
what?
We said last week we were gonna win, didn't we? We were like, this is a lock in 6 points. It's for sure gonna happen. It did not. That was kind of, I don't know.
It was crazy.
Yeah, and man, this game overall was just weird, wasn't it? I don't know. It felt weird to me because with the Spokane game, we were like, man, this is probably going to be a weird trap game. They're not doing good at all. They're going to beat us, and it's going to be like some weird situation that causes
Spokane,
it
we
to
definitely
happen.
got caught in the trap, I feel like.
Yeah, we did. It was tough. We really had to like figure out what
Work
was
our
going on
way.
with that one. Yeah, DC though. This match was real weird. I never dreamed that they would go up a goal on us first.
Yeah.
Like not
Yeah.
at all.
Was not on my bingo card.
No, in no way, shape, or form. It was the weirdest experience whenever they scored, and everybody was just kind of sitting there, and you could feel the collective. What the hell?
Like what just happened?
You know? Yeah.
What the helly?
Yeah, right. Oh no, he's gonna say it 4 more times. Heliante. So yeah, no, it was not ideal, obviously, but I think for me, I think that was the most shocking part was just the fact that they managed to get a goal first, especially when you look at how we were playing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we were
the better team.
really, yeah.
Yeah.
We were really
Like,
putting it
God.
on them, and the way that Spokane kind of had us
Mhm.
was how we were having DC. We were definitely
That press.
doing the good counter pressing, and
Yeah.
we were moving the ball forward. We were creating chances. Just we were not making them fall our way. And there were like, I just don't know if maybe everyone was on the same page because there were some people who I thought had like crazy good performances. And then you kind of like look around and it's like, well, maybe someone else wasn't keeping up the slack. And that's why we kind of fell, you know, by the wayside in the beginning and, you know, even let them get another one later on. I don't know. It was just so weird of a game.
It was. I mean, like you already mentioned it, our press and counter press, like those, we were doing a really good job. The moment we would lose control of the ball in their half of the field, we were swarming them. And there were like some times where I was like, oh man, like we took that ball in the perfect position. We're going to score off of this. And it didn't always come to pass. Part of
Yeah.
it was goalkeeping. Like their keeper did a fair job, but also I think that we weren't really challenging her super
Yes.
Yes.
intensely. We were getting chances, but I think you guys notice this too. Like our shots were like these weird frantic moments where the ball would land in a weird way. Somebody was at a weird angle when it landed at their feet, and they couldn't quite get
Get
any
the power.
Power, yeah.
or accuracy behind it. So they all ended up being like these weird little like kick out at it and hope that you managed to get just enough oomph to get it past the keeper. But really, they all
Yeah.
just kind of like slowly floated or rolled towards the keeper, and it was easy to collect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had
And
17 shots, 9 on goal.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good number.
It is a good number, but the point of it was they were all at the keeper, really.
Oh, for sure.
And
Yeah,
there were so many times when our set pieces just went straight to the keeper's hands.
Yes.
We didn't make them work at all on set pieces at all, which is crazy considering how well we do on set pieces and how well we do on, even throw-ins. It just felt
Yeah.
like the things that were our strengths were not doing us any justice in this match. We kind of had to finagle our way in a different way in order to eke out the draw.
hmm
it was real weird because at one point we even saw us have a throw in the final third, and we were like, all right, Hannah's gonna chuck that thing, and then she went for like the short little like
Yeah.
drop. But I think I almost wonder though, because the last 2 games, her throws have not made it as far. And I think it's probably just the cold. Honestly,
The
I feel
ball
like
dies a lot faster in the air.
that and your hands are frozen. I don't think she was wearing gloves or anything the
She
past few
wasn't.
matches because she's an absolute beast. But like,
Harder to get a grip when you got those gloves too.
yeah, when
Mhm.
and then when your hands are cold, you can't like really feel things the same way, right?
Mhm.
Because everything's numb. And so I wonder if that was maybe part of like their adjustment to be like, nah, maybe let's try like a short throw this time and see what goes down because we're not getting the oomph off of it that we want. But yeah, we weren't getting like some clean, powerful shots most of the time because it was just always the weirdest bounce or the weirdest
Mhm.
placement from the ball. It would bounce off of one of their defenders and then hit one of our players in the heel and then roll to somebody else. And then that person would be like, oh crap, the ball's here now. What do I do? And then it was an instinctual thing from that point. And so we didn't have a lot of real clean chances. They were all
Mhm.
very like frantic, what's going to happen type situations. Except for, of course, our 2 goals, which were great.
Yeah. Almer's goal
But
was fantastic.
oh my
Oh,
gosh,
yeah.
banger. Like, and one of those ones where you watch it in slow motion, right? It's not moving in slow motion, but you just see the arc of it and you're like, oh man, that might be one of those ones that just like does the little dip, just bypasses the keeper, and there you go. And that's exactly what it did. I was so happy
Mhm.
she took that shot too.
Mhm.
Yes.
She was just dribbling across the face of the goal, like, outside of the box, obviously. And there's just like a giant lane, like just a
Yeah.
giant lane. And you're like, please just rip it, just do it. And same thought must have come through her head because she did. And it was, I mean, got to
Amazing.
go up for some sort of award, right? That was such a
Yeah.
nasty goal.
It's like
I love
the
it.
the Julie Mackin goal from last year.
Oh, yeah, that screamer from
Mhm.
however many yards out.
Yeah.
Jeez, that was wild. And it stinks too because like that was such an uplifting moment.
Yeah.
And you remember, like, we were all in like that one section with a few other fans, and then the camera guy like told us all to crowd in there because he was like, "All right, I'm gonna get you guys on camera cheering whenever like we go to halftime, and it's gonna be great." And we're like, "Yes, let's go! This is great! Let's hype everybody up." And then DC got a second goal.
Yeah, like, while we were doing that, and it's like
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
was the
like
same thing we were saying about the first one. It's like,
right,
what the hell?
yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah, that one hurt too because just watching it from our side of the field, you just saw it just slowly to us. I don't know, maybe it was just like in the moment, just feeling like no, but it felt like
Mhm.
it slowly just rolled in, but nobody could get to it. It was just out of reach for everybody, and I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
come on, we can't be doing this because in my brain, we get that goal, we tie it up, we're off to the races.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
just going to start laying on more because we figured it out. And now we're going to actually get more goals in. And it's no contest. We got the 3 points. And so that one definitely took the wind out of my sails. But I mean, props to the team. It did not take the wind out of their sails. It was just all go from that point.
Mhm.
And no give up, which is what we need.
We've talked about in previous matches and the subs being super key to the match and the
Yeah.
success. And again,
Yeah.
that was the case.
Oh, for sure.
Obviously Weiner had a impact with the goal
Yeah.
being on, and I feel like the other subs also just made a good impact of bringing more energy onto the pitch, and just bringing a different vibe sometimes. Sometimes players give different looks than other players, so having a fresh set of eyes and fresh set of legs in the cold
Mhm.
weather really helped, I think.
That Weiner goal was really good too, especially
Mhm.
because of the role that Cat Berry played in it.
Yeah, the assist
Like
was
she was,
nice.
yeah, she was just dribbling down the field. I thought she was going to try and cut in and take her shot and see what was going to happen. From our side, it was hard to tell like where Kinsey was too, if she was on side or not. So I was like, what's going to happen? What's going down here? And for her to see that, have that vision to get it across to Kinsey, for her to take that shot was great. I felt like I had like Ted Lasso yelling in my head, take the extra pass, take the extra pass. Whenever he's talking to Jamie Tart, Jessica doesn't get that because she's not seeing Ted Lasso. You guys, sorry,
I'm
I just had to.
sorry. I'm sorry. Don't come.
feel-
Don't come for me. I
feel
don't have
really
Apple
upset.
TV.
I feel really upset. So we're
I
gonna
mean, if
have a
someone wants to,
fundraiser to get
I was
Jess
gonna
Apple
say,
TV.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
told
Well,
you I'd share my login with you.
Have
I
you
I
did
yet,
say
know.
Dylan?
that.
Have
I
you?
have not, but
Did
she
you
didn't
do it?
ask.
Oh my
Come on,
gosh,
Dylan.
She
didn't
has
do
to
it.
ask.
He didn't do it. What? Jeez, this guy. Anyway,
Do
we need
I
to get Jess
do I
on some Ted
really
Lasso.
have to ask? Do I have
Right?
to?
Yeah. Is that what
I mean,
fans
I'm not
do?
just gonna be like, "Hey, here's my information. You got to pull that stuff up," and then
That's true. That's true.
and then be
Yeah,
like,
good
"Hey,
point.
Dylan, what's the info?"
That's
Give me
true.
the info. But no, for real, it was a really mature, well thought out soccer moment from Cadbury to see that. And then props to Kinsey Weiner for making the run and having the placement to get that in the net. That brought us back. Now, the fans, I feel like we've been happy with this. I've not really noticed a lot of fans being upset with this situation, right? But
Can you?
at the same time, we've talked about this, right? Where at some point you got to start getting wins. And the team, I feel they're in good spirits, but I wouldn't necessarily say right after the match, everybody's high fiving and,
Yeah.
celebrating to the max, right? I think that everybody with these recent draws has been like, man, we're leaving stuff on the table that should not be left on the table.
Yeah, for sure.
And I feel for them, you know what I mean? And I can appreciate though that they hold themselves to that level of standard, even with the cheering that's happening from fans. Because some players you would hear the fans being like, let's go. Yes, we got that draw. We're still undefeated. And you could get complacent and then be like, yeah, that's cool. They're happy with this, like whatever. But I feel like every single one of them is like, no, like,
We wanted 3
how do we
points.
not get that?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so like part of me is just like, man, be proud of yourselves, guys, which I'm sure they are. But then part of me is like, I understand that and I appreciate that side of you as well, that you were like, it's not enough. It's not
Yeah.
enough. I want more and we're gonna get more. And you just stumbling on that getting more here recently. And I don't know what it is. In fact, we had a question about that from an anonymous texter. No, it wasn't anonymous. It was
It was
Jessica, your
Austin.
husband, sent us a question. Yeah, Austin. He sent us
It's a
a
good
question.
question.
It is a good question.
Biased.
But first, I have a question he has
Yes.
to answer. Is he gonna get us another iteration of the cup holder? We haven't talked about that in probably 2 months, and we're kind of
That's a good
losing.
question.
We're losing the momentum on that whole gag. So, like,
I don't know.
it's I need to be able to talk about a cup holder. Just anyway, Austin
We'll get on
asked,
that.
yeah. Or he said, I know an undefeated season is incredibly hard in any sport, but in soccer, since ties are allowed, undefeated doesn't mean you win every game. We've now only managed to tie the last 3 games, and the past 2 had to come from behind. Do you think it's because we're losing our edge and need to change something, or that other teams are starting to figure us out, or the pressure of our streak on the ladies, or just the reality of professional sports?
It's
A lot of
Yes.
ors in there. Ors.
The answer is yes,
Yes.
because it
yes.
is all those things,
Or
I think.
yes.
Or
Or
yes.
yes. But no, yeah, that's fair.
So what was the first one? Because I'll go through these.
losing our
Okay,
edge.
like losing our edge. Are we losing
and
our
need to
edge?
change something.
Yeah, I do kind of think we're losing our edge. We're kind of not obliterating teams like we have been. We're kind of fighting from behind, which we're normally kind of like a front foot forward team, you know. So I kind of do feel like maybe there is a change needed. I think maybe in the
Yeah.
lineup, maybe we need to see some more changes. I know Mac had alluded to that after the last game, after the Spokane game. So maybe in the lineup, we need to see more changes. I really liked in that one game when we switched out Kat and Shay started, and we ended up having like a really good game, and we were playing a different way. And I think when we have game plans like that, you know, when we're kind of focusing on a different style each game to um, you know, pick the opposing team's lock, I think that's really beneficial for us. So I do think, yeah, we may be losing our edge if we're getting complacent and starting the same people every time. You know, like, you know, there does need to be a consistent, like, you know, 9 or 8 people on the field, but if we want to change attacking options sometimes to get different looks.
Yeah. I would agree with that. And I think I think because the system we've been using has been working so well and those strategies, I also think it's also other teams figuring us out. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, we know their strategy. We know what they're going to do. And so they know how to adjust, especially like with their defense and making it to where we don't get as many shots. So
It
I
would
think
be
that's
nice to, you know, it seems like DC has good defenders, but they tend to be on the slower side, where I feel like Brooklyn has very fast defenders. So it would have been nice if we maybe started Amber because of how fast she is, and she could beat those slower defenders, and just maybe those kind of tweaks for, you know, each match can make the difference.
yeah. And Kenzie's really fast too. Not saying
Yeah.
Amina's
Yeah.
not saying Amina or Sarah are not, but I think switching around the super subs a bit, because I feel like they're fairly interchangeable in that sense as far as how we use them, and with when they're deciding who's going to start and which will be subbed in later.
Yeah, for me, like losing our edge, I can look at it a couple of different ways. So, like, you can always say, like, okay, are we losing our edge individually, or are we losing it as a team? I think that our players aren't losing their edge necessarily. I think maybe our tactics are. And I think that's kind of what you guys are alluding to, is like it's like the tactic side of things is getting a little bit figured out.
Stale.
And I think when you have a good enough team, you can get by with that. You can be like, well, this is our game, and it doesn't really matter who you are. We're going to still pull this off. That being said, we've had games. I don't know if I'd count this DC game as amongst them, but we've had games like the Carolina game and the Spokane game where it's like, they got our number and they've adjusted. And I don't even necessarily think that that's how they really truly normally play. I think that, you know, that's a little bit of, all right, this is Lexington's brand, and this is what we're going to roll out, and here's how I need you to play, because not many teams could withstand playing like that consistently every single game without immense wear and tear on their players, because they're having to really just throw everything they can at us. I think that, you know, like
To
what
your
you guys have
point,
talked about.
can I add to your point, Tyler? I think in the Super League, because the Super League is so small, it's easier for teams to figure out each other because they play each other so often.
Yes. And I think for us, and we probably have some form of this with our sub situation because our subs are massive impact players, right? They come on the field and then the whole game switches for us. And so
Yeah.
to some level, this is happening, obviously. But I would really like to see us, look at these teams that have gone not just toe to toe with us, but really like giving us a scare and say, okay, but what are the commonalities between these teams that are giving us a scare? And then how do we adjust? Because, like, truly, you're not always going to be able to know what your opponent is going to decide to do when they come face you. They might
Hmm.
just play their game
Yeah,
that they're
or
used
they
to
play
playing
you.
and
You
keep their
don't know.
identity. Yes, right. And so I feel like it doesn't bother me that we stick with our normal starting setup that we've really kind of grown accustomed to, minus like the one or two changes, right? Especially with the wings. I feel like that's where we're always like, who's going to be our pair of wingers? Like
Yeah.
which of the
Yeah.
three is going to show up? But then otherwise, I just feel like, all right, we need to really be like, if a team is coming at us and beating us at our own game with these high intensity counter presses,
Mm.
here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to flip the script. Here's what each of you individually are going to do. And then here's how my subs are going to change this. And I feel like we are doing it, but we are not doing it in a way that is capturing wins. So we got to find that one little piece that's going to capture the win. I don't know if it means changing stuff earlier instead of waiting till like the 60th, 70th, whatever, and instead being like at halftime. Halftime, we're doing these like three subs, and you're going to come out completely different look, and you're going to work them over. Maybe that's the path. I don't know.
Hmm.
Of course, that also gives them a lot more time to adjust to you. Because I think sometimes coaches play a little bit of a game of chicken with subs. They're like, all right, let's see if we can wear you down first, and you have to adjust. And so then I know how to adjust, and I put the fresher legs out on the field, and then we beat you that way. And that works a lot of times. And then sometimes I just feel like there's a time and a place for making those subs at halftime and then coming out with a new look. And then the team that you're up against is like, whoa, what's going on right now? So I don't know. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's not. And I know we'll get into this here in a minute, but then you also wonder, like with the news with the coaching change, like not saying that the players were all of a sudden deflated because of it, but at the same time, like
Makes a
it's
difference.
big news.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty massive news to hear. And so maybe some of that threw off their mojo going into this match. I don't know. Maybe not because they're professionals. And I'm sure that they have, perfectly fine ways of dealing with big news without it interrupting their game. But, maybe not for everybody. Maybe not
Yeah.
everybody was like, okay, I'm in the right headspace. Maybe some people were like, oh, okay, last home game with Coach Mack. Like, is this going to be different next time I'm back home? Things, you just never know with these things.
Hmm.
But we do have to start capturing those 3 points. And we said that we felt like 6 was definitely doable. And
Yeah.
I do still feel like a win is doable with,
Dallas.
us going to Dallas. But Dallas has also made a lot of leeway since
Yeah.
we last played them. So it's not like they're pushovers necessarily. I
Right.
just feel like seeing what we were able to produce against them, I feel confident that maybe it's not going to be another like 6-1 affair, but maybe it is going to be us handling business and getting 3 points because we were able to go and face them last time and really just give them absolutely no answers. Right. So,
Well, and that's what I was going to say as far as figuring out what to do differently is really, really tear, I don't know, just I don't know the right word I'm looking for, but comb through the Jacksonville, the Fort Lauderdale, the Dallas games where it was just an absolute blowout. Like, and try to figure out, okay, what was the difference between those games and the ones where we tied and felt like it was more of a fight. And because we were getting a lot of shots, we were getting a lot of goals, and figure out how to make it to where the other teams just they just don't have a chance because we're just demolishing them.
right.
Like,
Right.
Well,
figure out what that formula was, and yeah.
what were the other two parts of Austin's question?
I think we kind of covered them all. We ended up mushing them all together,
Yeah.
but just basically like, um, is it just the game? You know what I mean? Is it just that
Mhm.
teams are figuring this out? So I think we kind of like
Yeah.
handled that all as one holistic answer.
Yeah.
So in the grand scheme, yes, to some level for all of it, I think is our agreement, right? Like
Yeah.
to some level,
Mhm.
all of that is kind of
Mhm.
happening, but not to a scary level in my mind. I don't think it's
No.
like a, ugh. I do think we are entering that phase of okay, enough teams know us and who we are that we really have to be prepared for the
And get
possibility
creative.
that somebody's going to start doing this to us more often. And, one of these times we might not be able to pull it out if we don't adjust quick enough and really do our thing, maintain our identity, but also be that version of ourselves that maybe teams aren't always necessarily prepared for. And it's doable.
Also,
If
sorry,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead, Dylan.
No, mine's more of a closing point.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say also how it's just also wild to me. It occurred to me while we were talking through all of this. Wild that we're talking about the fact that still we're not upset that it's like, oh, with the men, okay, how do we stop losing so much? It's how do we keep this going? We're talking about the fact that the women are undefeated.
Defeated, and we're still in first
Like
Yeah.
it's
place.
and still like,
14 now.
huh?
14 now.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Like
13
wild.
for the single season, 14 overall, which
Just
that's a huge feat. That's
yeah.
that's an absolutely huge feat. I
So
can't even believe too that there's so many teams nipping at our heels. Like that's what
yeah,
like is mind-boggling, but they're managing to pick up more wins, which
right.
is which is the struggle that we're facing.
Scary.
But
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
but just one more. Just one more
yeah,
win.
yeah. Yeah, it's true. Um, but I
And
think this last one we could do it.
so just taking a moment to really appreciate what we're
Defeat.
talking about here. Like there for the
Yeah,
lost, got a big old goose egg.
I
so
know.
even
It's
so
beautiful.
even if and obviously I don't ever want them to lose, but whenever we do, obviously no.
Shun the non-believer.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Shun, shun, shun the
it won't
non-believer.
no.
I'm just kidding.
But
I
if
get your
it
point.
if it ever did happen,
Mhm.
obviously it's never going to.
Right.
It'd kind of be like, wow, still
Yeah.
applauding just all the amazing work the women have
Right.
done so far this season. Like they just it's insane the fact that we're this far into the season and we really don't have much to like it's easy to talk about them because they're just absolute ballers. Like it's just
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Plus
and
that
it's
plus
so
15
fun
goal
to
differential.
be able to talk about them this way and such it like breath of fresh air to
Yeah.
talk about how amazing they are.
I know. I feel like super selfish because every time we're just like, man, how do we hold on to our number one spot for like another week? How do we hold on to
Right.
our number one spot for another week?
And how
And I'm like, how
dare
long have
we
we done
be
this?
go down in the power rankings, like
Yeah. Right.
yeah.
Don't you know who we are?
Right,
Like when
exactly.
when have we ever had that vibe? You know what I mean? Usually it's like, oh man, we're not 12th in the power ranking. Let's go. And
Yeah,
now we're like, what do you mean we're not first in the power rankings? Who's doing
seriously.
this? I want to
Yeah.
speak to your manager, please.
And the entire
And
team
by me, I mean
not
Jess.
team of the month and like every single player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
So,
great. And like even in games like this, we've had some like really great individual performances, team performances, everything. Like a lot of these players, you just look at what they were doing on the field. We were talking about it. Even like during game, we were like, man, who would get like player of the match, because Kinsey was a super sub. Addie was doing her thing, crushing it. Kat made that assist happen. Our midfielder was getting controlled pretty well by Taylor and Toddy.
the
Are like,
insane save that Hannah Johnson had.
yeah,
Oh my gosh. She's
everybody
the
working
reason
their
we
butt
didn't
off.
lose that game.
Yeah, that was clutch. That was big
For
time.
real.
And so many players were putting in work, and you love to see that. And you could see that the fight was there, even though maybe the winds weren't blowing our way the entire match. It was never for lack of effort or passion, and you could definitely sense that.
Sorry,
I do want.
Cat.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
I just want to say, Cat did make an awesome initial save, but
Oh
it
yeah,
almost rolled in. So just adding
yeah.
that little caveat there
It's team effort. Team effort.
for sure.
I think I told you guys this, but this was like bonkers whenever I went and looked it up, because we also were talking about how Sarah Griffith was coming up super clutch, especially defensively, with
Holy
getting
smokes.
recoveries and winning duels. I don't know if anybody else has like looked this up, and I don't know if anybody can appreciate how crazy this is. She won 13 duels in that match, which is it's pretty up there. It's a lot of duels to win in a single match. I just felt like she was all over the place. She's Jessica, you won't get this one either because you haven't watched it. Real Roy Kent energy, here, there.
Every
Sorry.
everywhere. Yeah.
Every friend everywhere. No, yeah, but no, it was pure class from each of them. So at the end of the day, you just have to say congrats to them as a team, as a squad. And we hope that we keep that going, not just for this next game, but we want to keep this going past the break. We talked about that before. The break is always a little bit of the litmus test, or at least it proved to be last year for a lot of teams. A lot of teams completely flipped the script for good or for bad when we came back from winter break. I don't want to be one of those teams. I want to be consistent, flying forward, everybody else chasing us, which that depends on a lot of factors.
Yeah. If you've listened to the show and you're familiar with us talking about the men's side of things, you've heard us talk about the panic button before. And I would say in terms of the
What's
Super
a
League
panic
team, I haven't even thought about the panic button. It's yeah.
They haven't even made it. We haven't even ordered it from Amazon.
Yeah.
We don't need it.
No.
Don't need it.
And and when it comes to any sort of roster changes over the break, no, just don't mess with it. I don't think we need to mess with anything.
Yeah, ain't broke. You know the saying.
What was that look, Dylan? Do you agree?
Nothing.
Disagree? Oh,
I'm open-minded.
okay.
Are there open players?
Dylan gives weird look. Doesn't mean anything. No, yeah, all right. I know that whole fiasco of her supposedly going to DC. Not likely. All right. Now we mentioned that there are circumstances that hopefully will not disrupt the flow. Probably the biggest news that we got was the fact that Coach Mack is transitioning over to the men's side. He will be the new USLC head coach. So congrats to him. And then Coach Kimura, Coach Koss, he's going to be in charge of the women now, which he was previously the assistant under Coach Mack. And so he's been promoted to head coach of the women. So congrats to him as well. This was kind of insane. It's kind of like I don't think anybody guessed this.
No.
I think anybody Eli had joked about Coach Mack coaching both teams or something whenever he's speculating like who's going to be the new men's head coach and stuff. And I don't think anybody in their right mind seriously thought, without some other inside knowledge from somewhere, oh yeah, we're going to do this. Now, there are obviously lots of feelings about this, and we've had about a week to process those feelings and kind of see where we are with the decision to do these changes. So do we want to get out the crash outs to start things out? Dylan, I know you've been vibrating crash out energy for so long. I'm worried for your health.
Yeah.
I offered you some of my blood pressure medicine.
Yeah, I've used the term head scratcher a lot in this podcast, and this is maybe one of the biggest ones for me. I don't necessarily understand it. There are parts I do understand. From a quality perspective, Coach Mack is a quality coach.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So far, he's shown that. Um, he doesn't he doesn't give us the coach speak that we all hate to hear. He
Yeah.
tells us very
How it is.
honestly how it is. So it's always really refreshing. So my doubts are not really in him. It's more of the situation that we've created for ourselves, right? Um, I don't know what it says to the women's team, right? I've heard from sources that some of the women have been just shocked by this, right? And um just very like just surprised. They obviously believe in the system and Coach Gaz, which is very, everyone loves Mac is the sentiment. So it's very, very odd to me. And then the message it sends to the championship team, you know, they're having to move one coach over to their team. We couldn't find a coach, I guess, we probably need to discuss the like
How it feels.
circumstances around it. Like how did we get to this point? You know, are we not able to just hire people now because we're burning so many bridges? It seems that is the case, honestly, that we're just kind of tossing people aside and we're not treating people right. And so it's not a destination that people want to be at. And that's not good to hear because of, history. What are we going to do with Mac if results don't go his way? You know,
Mm.
so there's just a lot of I don't understand it. It makes really no sense to me. I do, I just said I don't have the panic button, but I do have doubts, that we can be the same team that we were because of this scenario. And I
Yeah.
think this is a decision that was based on money. The women don't get great attendance, the men significantly have better attendance. So why not move the successful women's coach over to the men's side and hope he be successful to get more people in the stands, which I don't agree with at all. I think that's so short-sighted and disrespectful to the women's team who have done a great job, who've done so much for this club and them given the club a good reputation, like giving us a good name in the league right now,
Mhm.
being successful. And I think we're kind of dirtying our name by doing moves like this. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I am very conflicted about it all. I said we'll do the crash outs first, and then maybe we can get into like the bright side and the level headed. Maybe this isn't so bad, but I feel very much the same way with initial thoughts. Like when I first heard about it, I was like, what's happening right here? And this has nothing to do with the level of deserving from Coach Mack or Coach Goss at all. Nobody here thinks that they don't deserve all the opportunities in the world because we've heard nothing but amazing things and had nothing but amazing interactions from them. Um,
Mhm.
it does, at least initially for me, it felt very much like Dylan said, like, oh, the men have really, really high attendance compared to the women's team. What if we had a successful coach already and we just move them to the men's side and then that success continues over there and then hopefully it continues for the women, but as long as it continues for the men, whatever. That's the initial feeling it put off. And it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like, wait a second, because I'd seen somebody mention this to me, in conversation, not me specifically, but in a group conversation setting, um, that okay, picture this: the championship team is winning or undefeated at least halfway through the season, undefeated. They say, guess what, coach? We're going to move you to the women's side. And then we're going to promote your assistant coach. Would that realistically happen?
It would
Would
never
that?
happen.
I cannot find myself in a world where I truly think that we would ever do that. That
It
we
would
would
never
take
happen.
the championship coach of an undefeated squad mid-season and say, you're going to go over here now. That I could be wrong. I could be wrong. And, again, these are my initial feelings. We're getting those out of the way. But that was one of them. Like, I agreed with that sentiment. Like, would we? It had me thinking, like, that is a very good point. And it starts making you wonder, like, why? And for me, it would be like, I don't know, if it was a situation where the seasons ended at the same time and they were like, you know what, Coach Goss is great. He has a great relationship with the team. We're at a natural breaking point. Let's promote him. Coach Mack, you've had a great record. We want to keep you too, though. So sure, pull you over here. Maybe that's what happened here, but the optics do not look like that. The optics of it do not come off that way. It comes off very like, let's just roll with this and see if we can get the same results, and then we'll deal with whatever fallout happens. And I'd hate to think that we, even for a second as a club, viewed the women's team as a sacrificial lamb in the scenario. I'm going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt and say that never crossed a single person's mind and that nobody ever thought that. But it sure feels like it. It sure feels like it was like a little bit of a glint somewhere in somebody's mind of like, it'll be what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Jess, did you have initial crash out feelings?
Oh, absolutely. My first one, which I had to go back and say, well, I feel like I can't really think this thought without, oh shoot, gosh, without making it seem like I have zero faith in, or without diminishing what the women have done so far this season. And that was, well, this is just going to ruin everything. Like
right.
they've completely ruined the team, which is not fair to them,
right?
Because the women are still out there putting in the work. My other thought was, show us how little you care about women's sports without really, like they're
without saying it out loud.
Yeah,
yeah.
Right. You're proving it right here. And I think so those were my initial crash out thoughts of, why are we messing with a good thing? Why are we messing with something that is going well and completely changing it up? And so those were my biggest ones. Like that Tuesday when they announced it, I was in a terrible mood all day.
You're right. Right.
Yeah. So it was wild.
I mean, to Dylan's point of us just rotating through coaches, like, man, I said this whenever people asked us way back, should we keep Boss? And I was like, if anything, give him another shot to say that we are willing to invest in a coach and say, all right, let's see what you can do with year 2 to prove everybody wrong, that we don't just throw coaches in the dumpster and say, well, let's get a shiny new one. I will be insanely upset if this championship season doesn't go well and then we toss Coach Mack to the curb.
And
I will have lost 100% of my faith in this club, because like that is I'm drawing a line in the sand.
Yes.
If they make this move, which they already have, they have to be willing to give Coach Mack 2 seasons with the men to figure things out. Because
or bring
in
him
my
back
brain,
to the women.
Yeah, because in my brain, but then
I
like, what
don't
do you
know
do with
about
Coach
that
Koss?
though.
Yeah.
No.
Like, because it kind of goes the same with like Coach Koss. Like, if you believe in him enough that you're willing to make this move, you need to give him more than just half a season as well. That's where I'm at with both of these decisions. Like, this will be a time where, like, and we're already kind of getting there, but it will be completely indefensible if we throw both of these coaches to the curb if things do not pan out the way that we hope. And I think that will be the nail in our coffin in the league as far as attracting coaches of high caliber. We will then just be having to look for coaches who are looking for their like breakout opportunity. And we might find somebody that is like, yes, all right, I've not had a great opportunity ever. And so sure, I'll come to you guys, and they do well. And then we're like, yes, let's go. Or we could just keep digging ourselves deeper into the hole. And then everybody of inequality is like, no, I am not coming there because I know you're just going to have me move my whole family for just a single season and then say peace out if I don't immediately deliver whatever the benchmark is, playoffs or whatever else.
Well, and that was another one of my crash out thoughts too, is feeling protective over Mac
Mm-hmm.
because he's become such a valuable part of the women's team. And so, yeah, feeling protective over him and not wanting the same thing to happen to him as happened to Boss. And yeah, so
Yeah,
it's challenging.
I mean, these this goes for everybody involved with the women's side this year. I've heard nothing but amazing things, nothing
Mhm.
but, and honestly, that's what we've asked for all these years. Can we get a coach that delivers on the field, that has awesome vibes, and a staff that does the same thing, and a team that works together? And I feel like we finally got it with the women's side, and I just need us to show that we value all that because right
Mhm.
now we're already kind of poking at that bear, right? Saying, we kind of value it. And again, this is nothing against anybody being deserving or not deserving, but disrupting the whole core of what's going on
Yeah.
by removing Coach Mack, who, by all rights is kind of the central piece, right? And now, it's already kind of in flux as is. It's we got to do this right.
I I really struggle with this scenario, right? Like Mac advertised us being, a fortress of soccer, and it felt like he was going to be the face of that.
Mhm.
And it
They're
felt like he
making
was talking about the women's team when he said that.
Yeah.
And now to have him over on the men's side kind of feels like we're taking that away. It feels like we're kind of taking back his words in a way. And I know, like, obviously we're not, but it feels that way to me, you know? And I I even feel weird about him being like the head coach in the previous match, right? I feel like we're like by having him around longer kind of like muddies the waters for me. Like I don't know. I feel like Kaz should have been the guy standing up and yelling to the team. That's just my perception. I know, like Tyler, you're shaking your head.
Yeah.
You don't agree, but to me, like I feel like if you're making that intention of him being the head coach and Coach Mack not being the women's head coach, then why is he still on the sideline controlling the game? Like that makes no sense to me whatsoever.
I see the sense in it though, because like, granted, I'm just a middle school coach, but like the idea of being an assistant the whole time and knowing the players and working with them, and then like literally within like a couple weeks time, they're all of a sudden like, hey, guess what? You're taking over. Let's go. Versus having the natural winter break to really get a true transition and preparation, because we don't know how quick this all came down. You know what I mean? Like it could have been like a week before they announced it. They're like, hey, guess what, Mac? we're gonna move you. Sound great? And then Mac's like, oh, I don't know. And then it worked out. And then if it was something that was done with haste, then Coach Koss would not have had a lot of time to prepare and get situated. And so I see their thought process in saying, let's wait till after the winter break to really kick things off.
Let me rebuttal with the picture they've painted and in that like press conference they did is that nothing should change because of how tight knit they are. But that's just not going to be true. Like things are going to just naturally change. There's two different people. Of course, it's going to change. And so, like, if they're so tight knit and things shouldn't change, then Mac doesn't need to be there on the sidelines. It's Kaz's team. Kaz needs to be
Mm.
taking over Matt can still be on the sides. He can still be, sitting in a chair, but I don't think he should be the one,
Calling the shots.
calling the shots. He shouldn't be the one standing up, yelling at the assistant ref, or the fourth ref. I just, I feel like it muddies the waters even more for me.
I would think that if it was somebody new. I don't know if I feel that way with them already being where they work together, though. I feel like it is, as an assistant coach, I could see appreciating being like, okay, let me get my feet under me as like being the coach. Because even though you might have the same philosophy, you might have the same approach to trainings, you might have the same approach to games, there is a big difference in you standing on that sideline and being like, all right, let's go, and just kind of getting that mental preparedness. And plus, it might be a contract thing too. You know what I mean? It might be that the contract doesn't flip over and say like you were no longer the head coach of the women until after the winter break. And at that point, like he has to act in capacity as the head coach on top of things. So even if Coach Cost does feel comfortable to do that, it might just be more of a contractual obligation at the end of the day that's making that happen that way. In my mind, though, no matter what, I feel like if we can kind of like transition a little bit to the bright side, at least for me, you guys don't have to transition with me, but for me, that press conference that you just mentioned made me feel worlds better, because I already had the sense from everything people had said around the club and, things, players have alluded to, that Coach Koss and Coach Mack, like-minded, like they were just in sync. They were very tight knit, very much the same football philosophy, very much the people philosophy and player philosophy. And then that just kind of reaffirmed that. And of course, like press conferences, you're going to have coaches saying like the right things, right? But it did feel very genuine, because neither one of them comes off as, like you said earlier, Dylan, the type to give you just a bunch of coach speak and then say, well, here's my script that I'm going to read to you with all the correct answers, and then just go from there. And so I'm not saying the exact same results will happen under Coach Koss just because they are like-minded people, but I do feel better knowing that they are as tight as they are. And it's not like they just now started working together. They've known each other for years and years and years, and have had a close relationship for years and years and years. So it's not like they just teamed up at the beginning of the season and we're like, hey, you thinking what I'm thinking? Yeah, kind of. They truly are people that have had conversations about all these things over the course of years. And I think that at the end of the day, they will have their own responsibilities and will be tied up with those. But I also feel like they're the type of guys that would support one another. And if it was a situation where it's like, man, like this happened in this match and I couldn't quite figure it out, like I feel like even in some capacity as friends, maybe they would sit down and be like, all right, let's kind of roll over this together and then see what's up. And that might be mutually beneficial for the men's and the women's teams, because then you have two head coaches working for the same club, like-minded in a lot of things. Yeah, that work well together and aren't afraid, because of their egos, to sit down across from a table and help both sides of the club succeed. Because in a lot of ways in the past, I felt like the women's side has been very much like women are off over here doing their thing and the men are off doing this thing, and you never see the coaches together or anything like that. And I don't think that that'll be the case, at least not with the current setup. So, with all the negative things that I felt about the initial announcement, there are things like that make me feel better. And then, like Jessica pointed out too, part of me feels like by saying, oh, we're doomed, we threw away the women's season, we're thus saying the women have no control over anything that's happened up to this point, and it's all just been magical fairy dust sprinkled by Coach Mack. And then now he won't be there with his magical fairy dust, and then everything will fall apart. And I think that for me, I'm like, okay, maybe I just need to trust and give the women more credit. And that's not saying that there weren't some weird things that happened that caused this all to happen at the higher level. But I'm also finding myself more at peace with being like, the women know what they're doing. Like they're the ones out there playing. They're the ones out there making things happen on the field. So they just need somebody that's going to support them and kind of be at the helm of the ship while they continue to do what they're doing. And I think that where they all seemingly love Coach Koss just as much as they love Coach Mack, I think that we'll be able to keep the same vibe and to see the same like teamwork and camaraderie and just the overall, I don't know, essence of what's happened so far intact.
Yeah.
And one thing I just really don't want people to do is like, even if we all have certain feelings about the people in charge making these moves, I don't want it to poison the well as far as being like, if the women slip up under Coach Koss, like let's say
Mhm.
first game in charge, lose it. I just hope people don't all of a sudden be like, see, I know Coach Koss couldn't do it. We should have had Mac here, because at the end of the day, that's going to be super unfair to him, because when you're playing like odds, the fact that we're even 14 unbeaten at this point is kind of insane. That's insane for any team in any league. So I just don't want us to lose sight of supporting the situation as it is, because that's kind of where we're at as fans. And I don't want to have anybody be like, yeah, I hate what happened, so now I'm not going to be, there to have Coach Costas back or have Coach Max back now that he's over there. And I don't think anybody's had ill feelings to either one of them. And I hope it stays that way.
Yeah. That's my bright side too, is trusting the women and knowing they know what they're doing. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Dylan.
And
Oh, sorry. I know you
No.
were about, Dylan was about to talk too.
No, I didn't have anything to add.
Oh,
yeah. So I guess the time helped me. I don't know if it helped you guys. The time helped me. The press conference really helped me, though. That was the thing that made me feel like, okay, we're good. Because I see what you're saying, Dylan. And I think that it's okay to be upset with the path that the ownership took, or just like the vibe that it gave off, right? The vibe of we value one over the other. I'm going to look at it as Coach Mack is deserving to be a head coach for our club. Coach Koss is deserving to be a head coach for our club. Now we have two great head coaches. Let's see what happens now. And let's really, really hope with our little tiny hearts that no matter what happens with this season, we are investing in helping these coaches be successful as a club, right? I'm not saying necessarily from a fan standpoint. Like, we, of course, are going to be there. We're going to support. We've always been there. We've always supported. I can't stress this enough, because I know this gets to people's ears. But I need both of these coaches to have enough time to show that this was the right move. Because if this decision was made up on high and it felt like it was the right decision from on high, then there needs to be enough trust to give them more than a short runway. It needs to be like, all right, what can we do in the long term, and how can we make this work? Because I really do feel like these are the type of coaches we want at our club.
mm-hmm.
I do.
I think you got to ask yourself the question, is the juice worth the squeeze? And I don't know in this scenario if it is. I think we're putting a lot of unnecessary pressure on both of these coaches in this scenario. I don't like the image that we're painting ourselves. The fact that we keep getting ourselves in these sticky situations with coaches and having this like turnover, I don't love it. I don't love the painting that we're making right now.
Yeah. And that's why we got to ride this wave. that's I 100% agree with you, man. And I think that and this is not discounting any previous coaches, all 14 of them or whatever we're at this point throughout the club's history, but I do truly feel like Coach Koss has the potential to be like this, but people haven't really seen him in action yet, right? Or like seen his personality outside of his amazing breakdance moves, which are stellar, and I hope he continues those, even though he's a head coach now. Don't lose that shot in Coach Koss. But I think that Coach Mack, if this season in the championship goes like many of our other seasons, or really, let's say all of them, where we finish in ninth, every single season that we finish in ninth place, I think that this will be a time where like fan morale will really take a dive if the club says, hey, Coach Mack, you were doing phenomenal on the women's side, and we move you to the men's side, and then we finish in ninth. Bye. We will see you later.
Well,
and it's different if he chooses another opportunity, but I think that this club better have his back at the end of all that and say, don't worry, next year, let's see what we can do.
I just feel like the scenario that we have put ourselves in is putting so much pressure on these guys that as soon as we drop a result, the question is going to be asked. You
Yeah.
know, was
Right.
it the right move? Was the juice worth
Right.
the squeeze? Like, and it obviously it's unfair. They obviously both need time to marinate, but the question is going to be asked as soon as
Yeah.
a result is dropped. As soon as we get our first loss for the women, or even if we don't get a win in a few results, you know,
Mm.
the questions are going to be asked, what is wrong with this team now? And if we start to fall, then it's like it's going to be like why the hell did we do that?
Yeah.
It just It makes no sense to me. It's very short-sighted. It puts so much pressure on these coaches who we feel are good people. We feel are good coaches. I just don't like the situation at all.
Yeah.
We'll see. Just
But
something.
I don't know. I still going back to the women. I feel like they've built a really strong identity, and
Mhm.
you can tell that when they play for each other, and
Mhm.
and they do whatever they can to support each other in those games. Like I've watched other games outside of LSC games, and you can just feel the tension on the field, and that it's just not like they're not a
There for
cohesive
each other.
team.
Mhm.
And these women, you can just tell that what they have on the field is really special. And I think
Right.
regardless of coaching changes, like I think if anything, they'll have to dig a little deeper to maintain that. Because the club has kind of said, well, obviously you're doing a great job, but we care more about attendance and money, which obviously the club needs money to continue to, have games and have a team to play, but at the same time, it's it is really hard. Like, it's like when you ask your boss for a promotion, they're like, nope, sorry, after you've put in all this work. So you're kind of like, well, and have the silent quitting situation. And so that's why I think just digging a little deeper to remember what they've built so far and using that as their motivation to continue to win,
Yeah.
and get points. I think that'll be um something that kind of plays a larger role moving forward.
I want to say like I'm with you. I don't doubt the women, right? Like
Oh, for sure.
I think they're a very talented roster.
Yeah.
We've obviously went out and spent a lot of money to get these, highly touted players, Addie McCain, Amina Ekic, yada yada yada. But we've also done that for the men's side, and we've also seen that come down to coaching, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's kind of like racing a car, right? F1 racing. You have an undefeated driver, right? And all of a sudden you're changing a driver, and the car is the same, right? We have the same exact vehicle. We didn't change, but we're changing drivers, and it's going to be different. They're not going to drive 100% the same way. You can't
Yeah.
replicate that. And I think that's the issue that we're facing. We're switching horses midstream, and I'm not a fan of that.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
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 I think we're all on the same page as far as that goes, but I think, yeah, trying to because we don't have a choice, finding a way to
Yeah. That's what it
to
comes down
move
to.
forward.
Yeah. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. There's no choice anymore. So, support. That's all we can do. Support, and then just, go out there, cheer our hearts out, and hope that things are replicated on the USLC side, and things stay the course on the Game Bridge Super League side. So time will tell. Time will tell. All I know is I know we're all very happy for both of these coaches to be able to represent our club, and they've got our support 1,000,000%. So we're gonna do this. It'll be fine. It'll be good, and then we'll all look back and be like, "Dang, how did we end up with the two best coaches in the USL?" And it'll be history. Let's move into some questions. We had some oddball questions for this one. When I say oddball, I mean like didn't really fit in with like the game talk or the coaching talk. So, but still worthy of our time. So one thing that we were asked is from a content standpoint, what do we want to see the club do more of in 2026? Anything come directly to mind?
I like the teddy bear toss thing. That was good. I feel like that was good, and it interacted with the fans, and
Mm.
them like videoing it. I feel like that was good content wise. I don't know.
And a
Yeah,
good
they did turn into
promotion
good
too.
content. Yeah. I like I miss when we did like our mic'd up sessions. The mic'd up
Oh
stuff
yeah,
for content. Those were kind of fun to hear the
those were
players
fun.
doing their thing. I think those were kind of neat. And then I know, back when Ethan was with the club, they started doing those like sit downs with,
The
players
players.
or people that were involved with the club or fans. I think those would be cool. It doesn't even necessarily have to be like as intense of a production as what those were, because I know Ethan poured a ton of time and work into those, but I thought those were pretty neat too, because they let you just kind of get to know people that were involved with the club. Again, not necessarily people that work for the club. It was even fans too. That got a chance to
Oh
go on
yeah.
there and just talk about their passion for the club and who they were. Um, so doing that with like players, fans, doing it with just like staff, it doesn't even have to be like well-known staff. I think that's even cooler sometimes whenever you get a chance to like see, I don't know, like behind the
Leslie.
scenes for a kit man. Yeah, or Leslie, or like a kit man, like see what they're doing, to get everything
That's true.
prepped and ready for the day. I think those things are kind of neat. Those little behind the scenes moments I think would go a long way for the club. So if they can spare the resources to do those, kind of pick up where Ethan left off on a couple of those things, or start them up again, that'd be, I think, kind of cool. Personally. Any other ones? All right, cool. All right, so speaking of Leslie, we were asked, how do we get the team store to sell the sickos that come out to the cold games some LSC parkas? Leslie, if you're listening, or if anybody is listening that can talk to Leslie, hook us up with those LSC parkas. We need to be bundled, or LSC heated vests. Jessica was out there flaunting her heated
Ooh,
vest. She was just like, "You guys ever
yeah.
seen a heated vest before? Now you have." And everybody else was like, "I'm really cold. Can you tell me where you got that?" And she's like, "No, gatekeeping that secret."
Costco. Always
Costco,
Costco.
We
always
were
Costco.
we were talking in the Discord too. Someone mentioned long sleeve kits. That would be fun.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be good to not block any of that 30-degree weather,
Yeah.
but they would still
Yeah.
be stylish.
I
Yeah.
mean, some of the stuff that they've been churning out in the merch shop have been pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been some good stuff ever since they switch over to Hummel.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And I mean,
All right.
they've had vests and jackets and stuff, but they end up
Even
going
on
on
clearance.
sale because people aren't willing to pay the price for them.
Yeah.
Which I mean, for a good quality vest or jacket, yeah, it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be
Yeah.
a higher price point.
Right.
So
Yeah, I know, but some of those are like, it's $160, and I'm like,
yeah, like is
I'm
it
gonna
that nice?
I'm gonna find a North Face on sale or something. I can go
Yeah.
from there.
I'm not
Like
the one
that.
complaining, because I'm not buying it. So
Right. Exactly. That's true.
I
Um,
did find a green, like it's not LSC brand, but I got a jacket on sale that's green and it's super warm. So I'm very excited about that. Just
all
saying.
green, everything.
Yep. Always.
Even if it's not LSC brand, you just got to make sure it's green. That's all that
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah.
Decked out.
Truly.
Okay, this was a question that we had to table last time because we ran over so long. But we got to ask, what is each of our takes for a club anthem?
Tyler, do you have one?
Not the rags to riches one from year one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be mean, but that one I couldn't vibe with that. And they always wanted fans to sing it after the match, and everybody was just like, I think I will
Wait, what's that
sing it
one?
after the match. What was it called again? Oh my gosh, why is the
Brave,
name
Bold,
of
and
it escape
Free.
me? Brave, Bold, and Free. There we go. Yep. And they would always want people to sing it after the match, and everybody just like, no, thank you. I'm gonna refrain from doing that, but thank you for offering. It was such like a like it felt like it belonged in a commercial. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
So definitely not that one. It was cool at halftime at the game the other day whenever everybody started singing along to Bon
Living on a
Jovi.
Prayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever like everybody broke out and they were like, we're halfway there. That was cool. But I don't know if that's like necessarily an anthem song as much as it is like a cool halftime tradition song.
Yeah.
I think there's a difference
Yeah.
there, right? That would be like a cool vibe to do for halftime. Man,
When you think of like those songs, you think of like Manchester City singing Blue Moon, right? You know,
yeah.
like that stuff. So
Or Minnesota does Wonderwall. Yeah,
yeah,
like just those
just stuff
organic
like
random
that.
ones. Yeah.
Mhm. I think to me, it's a little cliche, but I would go Tyler Childers, Shake the Frost. You know, you remind me of a Sunday back home in old Kentucky. I just feel like if everyone was singing that together, you know, that's the, first couple lines of the song. I think that would be
That's
really cool. And it's a slower song too. So I feel like
Yeah.
it's just a good song, and he's from Kentucky, and I feel like LSC needs to claim him before Lou City does.
Mm,
Yeah. Jessica, do you have an idea?
yeah, I don't know. I've been trying to think of it all day. I can't think of. Yeah.
Yeah. I just it's one of those things that you have to get one that's organic. It's almost like the DJ has to play it. And then all of a sudden everybody's like, that's it. That's the one right there. We can just go with Mini Men by 50 Cent because no matter if we're winning or we're losing, everybody seems to hate our club. So we'll just start rolling that one out, I guess. Just at the end of every match, we'll be like, Mini Men, wish death upon me. And because they really
That would be kind of hype, dude. That would be
That
really hype.
I was joking, but
That
after
would
I
be
said
so
it, I was like,
hype.
that would actually be kind of hype. I'm not gonna lie, because I mean, you lose, it's like whatever, and you win, and then it's like, oh man, now we're rubbing it in your face. Yeah, that would be kind of sick.
It would be really sick.
I love whenever jokes actually turn out to be like, oh wait a second, oh okay. I'll have to mull that over a little bit more. I think that would be cool. Maybe if the club did that though, if they just like polled fans. Maybe that's something that we can reach out to the club about, like polling fans and say, like, hey, end of a match, what song would you love to hear us put on the loudspeakers that would just be like a cool vibe for everybody to sing along to? And then maybe like, I don't know, trim it down, have like a bracket. And then eventually, through bracketed voting, we come to like a consensus. I don't know. Hopefully, I mean, I'm sure we wouldn't, but at least a majority.
Speaking of that, reminds me of the content creating side of things. That question is getting the fans a little bit more involved as far as polls or comments on have little competitions with the players and have people comment like who they think they did something best, or different things like that. So I feel like there's not really much to interact with on social media. It's just like, oh, okay, cool video, that's funny, I'll share it.
Something a little bit more interactive though.
Yeah.
I think that would be good. I think you're right.
I think we should do more content with like minority groups, like Hispanic heritage, when there's like the months and stuff, or Black History Month, and we should do more pride stuff as well. I think content like that would be more worthwhile for the club.
Yeah.
Any initiatives that celebrate diversity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just anything at this
Yeah.
point would be
True.
kind of sick to see, because that well has been quite dry for some time, unfortunately.
One quick thing I think we can unless you had this on the docket to talk about next is the men's home opener being announced, because that was announced
Yes,
between last episode and this one. So
that was a good transition.
was it though?
It was. It was very good.
I just immediately changed the
You're
subject.
like, speaking of
That's true.
things that
That's
are
true.
unrelated. No, but no, that was good because that is a big deal though. Like that's kind of a hype home opener. Like our very
Super
first
hype.
home game of 2026 for the men's team is going to be Lou City versus LSC at home. Last time that happened, that stadium was exploding at the seams.
Yes.
And it was such a fun time. We talked about this after the game, like how fun of a time it was because everybody was just like having a blast with the drama of it all. And I am so excited for the next installment of that. Like, I hope it's the same type of deal. I hope it's million people, everybody's having a good time, good rivalry banter. Coach Mack starts off his tenure knocking out Lou City, boom, right out of the gates at home at the stables, and then like the scenes. Like, are you guys hyped about that being our first, or do you wish we had some like warm up home games to get rolling first before we like face off against a big and budding rivalry?
I mean, I kind of didn't really think of like it being like a negative until you kind of just put it in my head that maybe maybe playing Louisville with like to start out with with Coach Mack as a like now I'm kind of like crap.
I didn't mean to do that.
Oh man,
I didn't mean to
Tyler
do
put the
that. But
doubts
it
in
is
my
a lot of pressure.
head.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
But
we already talked about pressure and holy crap.
It is a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Not mostly, but like half new team. And then new-ish coach, not really, but kind of. And then your first home game is against the juggernaut of the league, who happens to be our rival, or at least we're trying to like turn into a legitimate rivalry as opposed to us facing off against them and eking out like a draw at best. Like that would be a killer way to start off 2026 USLC under Coach Mack. Get a dub against Lou City in a packed stadium at home for our first home match of the season. Man, that excites me as much as it's like, whew, what a home opener. Like, we were having to face them right out of the gate, but the potential alone is enough to make me be like, nah, that was a good choice. That was it. And we can't be scared at the end of the day. You can't be scared of any team. No matter how good they are, you just got to be like, let's go. Let's go. Let's plan for it, make it happen.
Well, and I think it's a good move by the club in that sense, as far as knowing that last time we sold out and it was just it was an insane crowd. And so starting off with that momentum and building from that,
yes,
and hoping that attendance just continues on throughout the season, because how many people will come to the game regardless. We've heard there might be a game at Rupp. Who cares? I don't care.
nah.
And but regardless, I think how many people will get in that home opener that'll be their first time coming to an LSC game, because it's against an LSC Louisville. And so I think that will hopefully, build upon that and get a lot of returners. And so in that sense, I think it's a really good move by the club, regardless of the result. Seeing just the electric atmosphere and how like really, really good vibes all around, and people being like, man, that was a lot of fun. I want to go to more of those,
Yeah.
And so
that's a good point, having that up front as opposed to like later on in the season and then people being like, oh, I haven't gone to any of the games before this, but this was a cool time. I hope they go all out too, like last time. Tons of food trucks,
Yeah.
Like some
They'll
people
have
said they had
to.
trouble with parking. I didn't, but I got there pretty early and left pretty late because we did the interviews. So I didn't really experience the parking woes. But hopefully, like the parking is nice and smooth for this round. I hope they run the shuttles like they did last time, which I think even people that were like, man, getting there to the game was tough. The shuttle was helpful to have running for people. Really smart idea. So I hope we took everything that we learned from that, improve upon it tenfold, and then it's an amazing experience that everybody leaves that stadium at least feeling good about that part of things, even
Yeah.
if the on-field result doesn't match what you hope it does. Sorry, Lou City fans, you're taking that L. Coach Max sending you home with the L. That's a cool one. I love that to start us out and get us rolling strong. So we'll see, and then the rest of the schedule I think is coming out pretty soon. I don't think we have to wait much longer for the remainder of the schedule to hit the streets, and then we get to see who all else we're going to be playing. I think it'd be cool to mix up some of the out of conference teams this time, which I'm sure we will. But I want to see some other out of conference competition. Like we didn't get a chance to play teams like Rhode Island and stuff last year. I think that would be real neat to get them on the docket for this. We'll see. It's good stuff though. Blue City coming for you. 2026. Prepare. All right. Anything else I'm forgetting, guys? Last match of the season. Support the ladies for that one. It's away. It's
Jack
going to be a
Browns.
win. Jack Browns.
Jack Browns.
Jack Browns. So awesome. We all went there after the last game. Had the crab ragoon burger. It was absolutely phenomenal. It was phenomenal. It was so stinking good. So stinking good. So that's the place to be. Can't be mad at a place that's willing to support LSC and show the games. So that needs to be the spot. But earlier one, right? Like, was it 3:30 for this one?
3:30 is the match.
Yeah, 3:30.
That's what I thought. So not as early as our last couple, but still a midday game. I kind of like those. I think it's kind of nice getting those. Get there early, get them over, and then you can have the rest of your day to celebrate, or sit there and be like, man, we wanted 3. But it'll be a celebration this time, for sure. We're going to get all 3. Dallas is not ready. We got this.
For sure.
All right. Until then, you'll hear from us after that one. Then we go into the winter break, and then we'll all just sit in a dark room and cry because there's no LSC matches to attend. And then we'll emerge from our cocoons as beautiful butterflies whenever spring comes. Actually, it'll still be cold when the women play.
It'll still be very cold.
It'll be the very end of January. So we will not be beautiful butterflies, more like penguins as we wrap ourselves in our heated vests and 14 layers of clothes to go out and support in January and February. But you know the drill. All right, guys. Long episode. Thanks for hanging in. Until then, you know what it is. Come on, you greens.